Hey folks, this is Monk. And we are back with another episode of From the Canopy Film Show. And I'm joined as always with my co-host Cornelius, aka Evil Corny.
Hey, what's up?
What's going on, man? We got some reviews for you folks today, so we're gonna get into it. And we're gonna start off with The Rule of Jenny Penn. This is a film that came out March 7th, USA, and directed by James Ashcroft. In this film, recovering from a stroke at an assisted living facility, a judge encounters a psychopathic patient who uses a hand puppet to abuse fellow residents. And this film stars John Lithgow. We also got Jeffrey Rush, George Hanair, Holly Shanahan, Nathaniel Lees, Annapella Polatavio, as well as Thomas Sainsbury. And these are going to be, I guess, some of our main players. But I'm going to defer to Cornelius because I haven't seen this one. So we're going to listen to his review of this film.
Okay, this might be one of the craziest films I think I've seen in a long time. Jeffrey Rush is a former judge that's had a stroke and everything, and he's recovering in a nursing home. And there, he kind of meets a couple of residents and everything. And one of the residents is John Lithgow, and is running around with a hand puppet that he's calling Jenny Penn. And with Jenny Penn, he is going around terrorizing people at night when everybody, when all the workers are, somewhat like low, everybody's resting and stuff. He'll just show up in your room and, torment you
Hmm.
with this, make you kiss the doll's butt, all that stuff. And to me, it's just, it might be like I said, one of the craziest films that I've seen in a long time. Lithgow, pretty much how he is in this film, he might have been a bully at one point in his life and just, you know, loves terrorizing people.
Yeah, I feel like he's a wild actor, man. He's capable of getting into these roles and giving us really wild, off the wall performances, man. But he does it in earnest, man. It's believable. And I mean, you think about back to something like he's had a history. Like I remember his turn in Dexter, even what he did in Ricochet, man. He's a
Yeah, I was going to
nutty
say
character
Ricochet is
actor.
like insane. Him and Denzel Washington.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah.
was out there. He
So
was out to Denzel. He's a bad guy in Cliffhanger, isn't he?
I haven't seen that in so long,
It's
dude.
been
I
such a
can't
long time, but I
remember.
know he plays a hitman in the movie Blowout. I
It's
just
interesting. There's parallels I draw between him and Nicolas Cage at times. The
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
roles that they take.
Yeah. One of the things that Lithgow is going to be doing in the next couple of years is he's going to be Dumbledore in the Harry Potter series on HBO. I mean on Max. And Lithgow is Professor Dumbledore. Like the head, master of the Hogwarts school.
And I'm showing, I guess this is be a visual digital sale and rentals. I think it's also playing on AMC Plus.
And
You
so
know, if you
I
have
saw it on
that.
Shutter. That's how I
Oh, okay,
saw it.
Shutter too. All right, that's
Yes,
cool.
yes.
All right, bet. Oh, so let's get into this next one. So we also have The Death of a Unicorn. So I did plan on going to see this, but some reason as time went by, my interest kind of fell off into actually I still want to see it, but the urge to get up and actually go out to see it, you know what I'm saying? That kind of fell. It was just one of those weeks. I just didn't have the energy for it. But this film is called Death of a Unicorn. It's directed by Alex Sharfman. And in this film, a man and his daughter accidentally hit and kill a unicorn with their car. His boss tries to exploit the creature's miraculous curative properties with horrific results. And this film stars, we've got Jenna Ortega, Will Poulter, Paul Rudd, Taya Leone, Anthony Carrigan, Sunita Mani, Jessica Hines, Steve Park, Catherine Erb as well in this film. And yeah, that's a pretty stacked cast.
Really love. I love the setup of this film. I kind of wish it was done a little bit better, but I did have a lot of fun with it. It's kind of an interesting story, but it's nothing surprising. It's almost like paint by numbers. You knew pretty much knew what was going to happen. It does some fun things. The unicorns are like not what you would think of in a fairy tale. More like the unicorns that you get in was that Cabin in the Woods, where they pretty much are, attacking people, and some
Hmm.
some of the attacks were pretty good. Okay, it gets kind of gory, but like I said, it's an okay film.
Okay. But yeah, anything else out there that reminds you of? Because I'm just looking at the trailer. It's kind of like looks like a Harry and the Hendersons kind of setup. They're just
Yeah,
out and about.
it's not that nice though. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay, okay.
It's yeah. What's happening is like a family of unicorns.
Okay.
Yeah,
So there's
that's basically what's
multiple
happening.
unicorns that appear in this thing. So that's kind of
Yeah, yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
All right, bet. Yeah, it's still playing in some theaters, man. So check your local listings. You might get lucky
I
and be
got
able to check it out that way if you want.
I did like it because I like Jenna Ortega and Paul Rudd. It really has a real good cast on it, but it's just something doesn't really hit with it. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And I don't know if it's just like people that going to the theater or whatever, but it was somewhat a limited release because I think it was like one of the it was like 2 or 3 show times in the theater I went to and all that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely played it out here at a few of them. So I feel like this might have been one that just got put out there. They just had it sitting and it was like didn't really know what to do with it. So the next one I got on my list is gonna be Sinners, and this is the latest film from Ryan Coogler, director. You might know him from Fruitvale Station, Black Panther, the Creed series. In this film, trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their Mississippi hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. And this film stars Michael B. Jordan, Haley Stanfield, Lin Jun Lee, 10 Freaky Girls, aka Omar Benson Miller, Wumi Musaka, Jane Lawson. We've also got Delroy Lindo in this, and Miles Caton. I think these guys make up our main cast, as well as Jack O'Connell, who plays, our bad vampire leader in this film. But I guess you just saw this a few hours ago, man. What did you think of this?
Yes, I love this film. It might be my favorite so far. I'm just gonna say it. It might be my favorite film I've seen so far this year.
Hmm.
Um, I like to where we were introduced to these characters. We didn't go directly into the story, of the vampires and everything. We were it kind of reminded me slightly from Dust Till Dawn because you had like a bit of a heist thing happening before, or kind of I
Hmm.
liked how we were introduced to the cast, you know, in that town, the main characters in that town, and gotta put them in that situation.
Hmm.
I really, it's still fresh, but overall, I just loved it. I loved everything about the music, the design, cinematography is amazing in this film. Special effects, everything about it, I just liked, and I really liked how it was like music based, based on the blues and everything, and really different types of music because music kind of has a link to human spirituality and everything. So thought this was an amazing film. Thought it was told real well, and I'm
Yeah.
rambling right now, but I'll get either.
No, it's cool, man. Cause I don't know, I was having the same impact, man. So I got it in yesterday, but I went in and saw it again this morning just to kind of settle in on my thoughts of it. This is B-rate movie material, man, to be honest. But what Coogler has done to infuse this with his style of filmmaking, and bumped it up, like you said, with the cinematography, weaving in the musical elements. This thing takes place in Clarksdale, Mississippi, in the 30s. So what I think also, which is cool, which is brought to the forefront, is just the putting a lot of the Southern culture on display in this thing, man. You got Southern music, you got Southern mysticism, spirituality, and it's just really cool. Even the racial dynamics of the time, they're in the background of this. They play a part in the story later. So that's kind of interesting. But
Well,
also, man, the music, the blues, because we've even got that whole conflict, it's kind of tropey, but the conflict of the preacher's son and the music of the devil, you know what I'm saying? Even it reminds me of that old lore about the guy that sold his soul to the devil to teach him how to play the guitar, you
yeah,
know.
Robert Johnson. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's cool, man. But also, I think the character, the acting in this thing stand out a bit too, man. Because you got Michael B. Jordan playing two characters at the same time. Like comically, we've seen people do this in the past, like Jean-Claude Van Damme in Double Impact. You know, I love that movie. Well, but that's always been interesting. So I think it's cool to have Michael B. Jordan do this, and he does a really good job of making these characters distinct without knowing their names. You know, even their mannerisms, their body language, you could kind of tell them apart. You know, one of them is a little bit more laid back. One of them is really more serious and on edge. But these are bad guys, man, and they don't really um, make no ifs ands buts about it. You know, when we
Yeah,
meet these
yeah.
guys, it's like whoa, and the way the town has reacted to them and all that. I think that story is cool. Guys that left this town, went up north to find their fortune, actually found it. You know, coming back to try to restart their
Make more
lives all
money.
over. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's cool, man. He does a great job. Wumi Masaka here, she's cool. Playing a root doctor, man. So that's wild. You don't really see much of this. I think that one film that came out years ago with man, I can't remember her name. And she had the guy tied up and the thing doing roots on him. That movie was good, man. It was kind of like a black southern misery. I can't remember her name right
Oh,
now. You know what I'm talking about. But I finally saw that movie, and that was amazing, man. Seeing that, but you don't really see this type of character brought up, and I thought it was interesting that one of our characters has a romantic relationship that because usually. Down so you the root doctor they could do some stuff for you, but most people avoid them unless they if they don't have to. You know what I'm saying? That's like
yeah,
some
yeah,
spooky
yeah.
kind of it's like the person that was in Pumpkinhead that you go see that woman in like, yo, you don't go there unless it's serious, man. Shout out to Delroy Lindo. He plays Slim, a blues piano man who's a drunk. They hired this guy to come play for them, on this opening night that this thing takes. This is like a 24-hour movie. Everything in this movie takes place in the span of 24 hours, but Delroy, man, he was eating up the scenery, man. I love that he was in this
Yeah,
movie,
yeah.
and he's a real good bit of comic relief and something that just helped ground this film a whole lot, man. I definitely love his character, man. He was a nut in this thing. Miles Clayton, our Sammy, who kind of gets this thing started. He's a young guy that probably used to be Slim or used to be like the twins, a guy that's interested in striking off and leaving this small town to find his fortune and live out his dream. And wildly enough, he's one of these gifted musicians that I like how they introduce in the beginning. We get a little voiceover. He can, raise the spirits and uplift people and
Hmm.
bring joy, but also that energy can also attract evil. So that's what kind of brings our vampire element to interact with these guys. Shout out to Lee Jun Lee, who's just plays a store owner here. Her and her husband, and like it's these little things that really ground this film because it's also showing the impact of there were Asians in the South too. During
Yeah,
this
yeah.
time. In the community, it's just like when you see a
I,
Western, and some of
I
them
thought,
are smart enough to put the Chinese, immigrants in there too at the same
yeah,
time. So that's
yeah.
cool.
I thought it was real interesting because they had a store, since it was segregation, they had a white store, then they had a black store. Both,
I know, yeah,
both,
that was crazy because I was trying to figure that out, and it stood out more the second time because she's like, "Go get your mother," and it looks like she's on the white side of the street because there's nothing but white customers on that side, and she leaves that store to come over to here to see what I think it was Smoke or Stack what they wanted. I think that was which one was the meaner one? I think that was Stack. Maybe in the blue and they see what Stack wanted, you know what I'm saying? And they're driving, or maybe that was Smoke. I can't remember, but yeah, that was really cool to me. And then we get to the other side of the sea, there's more of a mixed crowd because the white people they can shop on any side of the street they want to,
yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. Jack O'Connell plays Remick, our bad guy vampire. He did a pretty good job. I mean, he doesn't have a whole lot to do, but as far as just being this menacing type, evil leader, I think he does a good job. He kind of reminds me of the main bad guy in 30 Days of Night. And that brings me around to another thing about this film. Like it is an original story, but Coogler definitely feels like to me a guy that studies other stuff. There's a little bit of 30 Days of Night in here. There's a little bit of Dusk Till Dawn. I noticed some thing, with that the garlic scene. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this guy studies, man, and yeah, like that, man. Like you said, man, the cinematography was awesome, man. This thing just looks great, man. They clearly as soon as this thing starts rolling, you notice they shot it on film. I saw the IMAX version. And I saw the regular version today. So the IMAX is interesting. They were almost identical, except for in the IMAX, there's certain scenes where the camera just goes wider. You know, those black bars disappear and you get a more fuller picture. And prime example, as soon as the film opens up and the twins are, rolling into town in their car, it's super wide. And then later, they shrink it down. And depending on what's going on in the film, they kind of play around with that, popping in and out. And I don't know if there's a version screening. There might be where it stays full the whole time. That might be with some of the more rare formats where this theaters where this thing is
I,
playing at.
I'm
You might get that.
I'm not sure, but I know in those scenes, I think they had both cameras shooting at the same time. I
Okay.
did find out that listen to one of his interviews this week. That's how they
Yeah.
shot that.
So we had the
I
IMAX
saw it in
playing the IMAX is recording a bigger one, and then the other film is recording a more narrow frame
yeah, yeah,
simultaneously. So when they do play it back in some of these theaters, is going to be kind of, yeah, both are running at the same time, which is
yeah.
crazy.
You probably see that like when the Blu-ray or 4K comes out,
Hmm.
because that's how Nolan, like Dark Knight and all that. That's how his Batman films. Really, just about everything Nolan does.
Hmm.
After Batman, that's what that's what happens on the screen. But this is one
Yeah.
I pretty much expect to see multiple times in the theater. I like this film that much.
Yeah. I'll definitely rewatch this, man, because like I don't know, man, some of these formats are, like I know for sure IMAX is just a little weird. I just don't like how my theater is set up for that, man. Maybe I should poke around, but I gotta take advantage of that A-list, man. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah,
can't use that everywhere. So I think when I did go back, even though it was an narrower format, I had a more comfortable experience and felt more immersive. There is an interesting scene too, man. I thought was kind of cool. And it played better the second time I saw it. There's a scene, a musical scene where he kind of does this crazy montage kind of thing where he kind of demonstrates how the blues has influenced so much music. I think there was a couple of genres missing though, man. I like, you know what I'm saying? But he had representatives, so I thought that
yeah.
was
All
really
type of
cool,
music.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when we get to the action, man, it's pretty solid. I do kind of wish that was drawn out a little bit more, but it's straight and to the point once the ish hits the fan, and yeah, and there's some nasty gore and some nasty fighting, man. And I will say this too, man. The ending kind of did surprise me too, because it kind of, I thought it was over, but then it keeps going, and I'm like, oh, okay. It kind of has two endings. Sometimes
Yeah, it
I'll
has
knock a
some two
film for
post
that.
credit scenes on it. Yeah, and it
Yeah,
kind of
but before we get to the post-credit scenes, it's like there's a point where it feels like it's over, and then it keeps rolling a little bit. You see our twin, kind of just licking his wounds and kind of, you know, going over what happens, and then more stuff happens, and I'm like, oh, it almost seems like it's over. Boom, but then going around, seeing some people get up, I was about to yell out like, "Hey, man, there's more," because I had already seen it. But yeah, I think that post-credit scene is really dope. It just adds more dimension to this thing, man, in
yeah,
an
yeah.
interesting way. So yeah, man, like I said, man, like after mulling over it a little bit, I had to bump this up in my Kugler filmography, man. So I'm gonna probably go, if I gotta rank them. And this is a crazy part about it. All these films are great. He hasn't
I
missed yet.
I'll be honest with you,
Like
Corey.
that's wild. He
I had
hasn't missed.
yeah, I hadn't seen Fruitville Station, but I did buy a copy of it
Hmm.
today, so I
It's
should be
good,
getting that in the
man.
mail sometime.
It's one that's hard for me to be forced to watch again because I know what happens, but at the same time, you can see where this guy's going. Like all the
Okay.
things that are elements in this film, you could see where they started in this guy's vision. Like even Creed, man. Like a lot of people don't give Creed its due because it is based in a Rocky universe, but that is a really good film, man. And
As it's
almost,
deep. It
yeah,
is a deep story. It is yeah.
yeah, that thing gave me chills at moments. And even Creed 2, which he was a writer on, but I think he let his friend direct it so they could get a start. And I kind of think Creed 2 story is just as good, if not better
Yeah,
at
yeah,
times,
yeah.
man. It's just like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, he's definitely laid down a really cool path, and it's just cool to see people who love making films just work. And I've been watching probably watched about six,
A
seven
dozen
hours of this guy
interviews.
talking this week, just leading up to this, digging up interviews and stuff. There's a cool one he put out with Jordan Peele, man, and he's just out there just talking, and I think that's something that's interesting too because one of the interviews he's like, "This is not, I don't really do this, but I really felt like people had to see this film, and that kind of makes sense. I think with Creed and Black Panther, you could kind of sit back and let the machine do its work, like the Marvel promo machine. These things they're built in for big IPs, Rocky, I mean Creed, even, but for something like this, he probably definitely did have to hit the ground running. Something that is
Well,
original and and see what's what.
yeah, that's what I was fixing to say. He pretty much, to me, right now is on the path with like Christopher Nolan. Christopher
Mhm.
Nolan pretty much did like his Batman films, but then he's been doing his own original stories,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah,
kind
it's,
of
it's
hope
the
he
same
goes
thing.
that
It's like
path because
I'm gonna do one for the studio and I'll make a
yeah,
lot of money and that allows me to some freedom. They'll humor my vanity project
yeah, but
and it's cool
it,
because I
yeah,
think
because
he's got Black Panther 3 is definitely in the works. He really's been kind of mum about it, but I feel like after that we're gonna get another one, that's similar
yeah,
to
but
more like this.
yeah, really, as long as he's making films, I'll be there to watch him because
Hmm.
he's been he has a excellent vision, man.
Yeah.
But like, let's just say like Creed,
Interestingly enough, bring it back to Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan is one of his mentors. He's
yeah,
a guy
yeah,
that he
a
consulted
friends,
with
yeah, yeah,
to get into when it was time to use these IMAX cameras. And that conversation's gotta be interesting, man, because I think Nolan, well, where's Nolan from, man? He's
He's British,
yeah, so this British guy talking to the Oakland guy with the thick Oakland accent, man.
yeah,
Coogler has never changed how he presents himself, and that kind of makes him a little bit more relatable. And when he's doing these interviews, so I would love to hear that conversation, man. That would probably sound crazy,
yeah,
just to hear them two talking to each
but
other. That's wild.
that's the thing though. It's that love of film. You get
Yeah, you're gonna
yeah,
make
that
it
love of
work.
film is yeah.
You're gonna make it work.
Yeah,
You
you got to
know,
make it work. Yeah,
but also.
I was
Oh,
kind of thinking about that, but like, let's just say like he has like the two Marvel films and a Creed film; those are already franchise type deals. And
mhm.
him coming up with his original story like this, that's
Yeah.
not really reality based like Fruitville Station.
Hmm.
I really can't wait to see what he does next. To be honest
Yeah.
with you,
And the
and this,
crazy
and
thing
this film,
about it,
I just remember them talking about it last. What it probably was like the probably last year this time they were probably talking about this film. You know what I'm
hmm
saying?
yeah,
He's gonna make it.
hmm
Yeah.
yeah. And the crazy thing about like he's been hits after hits. He made Fruitvale Station for $900,000, dude. And that film, I think, grossed about maybe about 12 million or something like
Okay.
that, which is like, yo, that's crazy. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So then
If I
going
could
to
give him a chance with Marvel, that
mhm,
yeah,
yeah. Going on to Black Panther, then Creed is also another big hit, Wakanda Forever. So yeah, man, this guy's off to a great start, man. He's running good, man. So yeah, I just want to see what's next. I don't know if you saw this in your screening, but we also got to look at I got to see the Him trailer, which isn't
yeah,
online
yeah,
right now,
yeah.
for Jordan Peele's next film. And
No, he's
interestingly
producing it.
enough,
It's not. He's not directing this one.
oh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right. All right, bet. Dang, so what is this next film then that's coming out?
I don't know.
I could have.
I don't think it has a name yet.
Hmm. Yeah, so he's
But
producer on this thing.
yeah, his next film comes out next year.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, you're right. Because I think I did mention that they announced it. And I was like, man, I don't want to hear about a film 2 years from now. It's not coming out to
Yeah.
2 years. like tell me when it's 6 months out. But in this film, I think.
Corey. I,
Mhm,
I I've been so obsessed with some of these filmmakers. When I hear that somebody's about to make something like
mhm,
right now, like I'm like keeping an eye on like Star Wars Celebration, and they have like a film that Sean Levy is doing called Star Wars Starfighter, and
mhm.
Ryan Gosling is going to be in this film. And right now, I just cannot wait for 2 years from now when
Mm.
this film is going to get released. And then they supposed to have a Mandalorian film, Mando and Grogu that's supposed to be out next year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which is wild, man. That we haven't had a Star Wars film
Yes,
since what,
yeah, yeah,
2019?
yeah. Right now,
Terrible.
it's just entitled Jordan Peele
Despite those
Project
films being highly profitable,
2020.
they had to cave in and readjust because internet guys was being loud and whiny. That's crazy to me, man.
Well, it's
That's
that, and
crazy
then
to me.
when just like with Marvel, and rest of Disney, they had to restructure everything after they fired the last CEO because he had taken a lot of the creative stuff away from the from like Feige and Kathleen
Hmm.
Kennedy and all that.
Yeah.
And even with Pixar, they were selecting what Pixar films were going to be in the theaters and
Yeah,
all that.
and that
But
was interesting because at one point they were talking about Kathleen Kennedy retiring, and
retiring,
now
yeah,
she seems like she's back for the time being.
yeah.
Now that we've got new people in there, and I think they
Bob
did show
Iger's
some stills.
since Bob Iger's been back, they kind of restructured stuff like how he had it before he had left.
Yeah, and we've
Yeah,
got some stills out there from the new Star Wars film. I think there's a Sigourney Weaver on set photo. The film that's going to be more about the fighter pilots.
no,
So that's kind of cool.
she's in the
Oh, you mean
Rogue One.
Mandalorians? My
Yeah,
bad.
she's in
She's in the
Mandalorian. Yeah,
Mandalorian
yeah.
film. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's it, man. I don't got anything else. I did see some news that the original rights holders to Tremors, they got the rights back to their story. So they said that they were, looking to develop a new film and trying to get Kevin Bacon on board for that. So that could be cool, man. That'd be awesome if you get a new Tremors movie, kind of a little soft reboot, but bring Bacon's character back, like a sequelish kind of thing. That could be fun. Especially he's old and gritty. Damn, Fred Ward's still alive. I love that dude, man.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think
That'd be
he's probably been
crazy.
in all those films.
I think he did one or at least one sequel without Bacon, but I
Okay,
think the rest of them kind of went toward the guy that played the couple, the Reba McEntire's husband.
okay, okay.
Yeah, I think the most of the other ones went to him. He was starring in as a character, and I don't know what happened with that story. I remember seeing part two and enjoying it, but after that, I kind of didn't really watch anything else. But yeah, I think that's it, man. We can wrap this one up, folks. I would definitely highly recommend Sinners. I don't know if it's my favorite film this year, but it's damn good, dude. It's definitely setting a bar for summer entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. We got Thunderbolts next. That's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
And what else? We got Fantastic Four. They put a trailer out for that too as well. I didn't watch that yet. I think I'm at the point. I'm not gonna. This is right around the corner. I'm not gonna watch no trailer. And we got
Yeah,
Superman.
I watched the trailer, but I'm going to the theater no matter what.
Yeah, and we got
Yeah,
Superman too as well. So
yeah.
that's coming out. So we'll be there for that. But as well as some other stuff. I think we got a few horror films too that are coming out that are on the way too for this summer. Oh, Final Destination. We got a new one of those. So yeah, we'll see, man. We'll be back next time, folks. But make sure you subscribe to the channel, like us, tell your friends about us, and we'll be back soon. My name is Monk. Catch me at Monkey Blood on Twitter and Instagram.
My name is Cornelius Bros. You can find me on Facebook, Cornelius Bros, on Instagram, Cornelius Bros, on I guess TikTok at Cornelius 1976. I just watch videos there. And
Mhm.
yeah, that's it. Right now I'm just looking at seeing that Corey has a copy of Knives Out. He has Parasite. He has Akira on his shelf behind me.
Yeah, I just got that Akira, man, because I like the OED original English dub better than the remaster dub because I
Mhm.
just like the voice actors better. I think one of them played Leonardo on Ninja Turtles, the one that's playing Kaneda, you know what I'm saying? I just like the way they yell. This just was so much better. It's like Tetsuo, Kaneda. But
Yeah.
when you get the new voices, it's just like Kaneda. It's don't have that same oomph, that version has, man.
So
So
you had a 4K
yeah.
one? Is that? I guess that's
I
on the
was
4K
probably it's
one.
a
'Cause
Blu-ray.
that's what I had. The last, might have been the last one.
Yeah.
Really, I have just about every version of Akira
Yeah,
that
that's just I think that's just regular Blu-ray, but it's good enough. Like I'm like I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's about it, man.
But
Trying to think if there's anything else that I picked up lately. I think that might have been my last Blu-ray purchase in a minute.
I picked up Barfly, and, and I hadn't seen that film before. I got that.
Mm.
That's part of my watch list for next week.
Oh, okay.
And Mickey Rourke, he's in trouble now, but
Hmm. Yeah, he's wild, but I
yeah,
don't know. He'll be all right. They'll forget about it.
yeah.
Because they kind of had, until he said something like nobody was like, I wonder what's going on with Mickey Rourke. That wasn't happening. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing for him, but not all news is good news. They'll try to tell you it is, but not for him. That's not good news.
And what's
Oh
up with that
man.
Voltron thing on your side? Is that like a bunch of shows?
Voltron?
Am I seeing Voltron behind you?
No, that's probably damn
You're
this.
right. You're right. The left.
This?
No,
Oh,
below
that's
there.
below this? No, that's first and 10. You might
Oh,
remember
okay.
that because we
Oh,
old
the
enough,
show,
but
the HBO show.
yeah,
I
dude, I
thought I
found
saw the
that.
ON from Voltron on that.
Man, I found that in the bargain bin at fucking Walmart one time. I had to get it. I used to watch that. I used to sneak and watch this when I was a kid because it was kind of raunchy and it had nudity. But this
And it
joint
had
actually
OJ.
kind of held up a little bit comedically, and it's got I think it's 6 seasons. Yeah, yeah. I think I watched this thing one time. It's
I
crazy
think,
enough. Oh, OJ Simpson starred in one of the seasons, bro. That's
yeah,
crazy, man.
yeah. First and
Wow.
10 and Dream On would used to be my shows on HBO, and I was not supposed to be able to watch those shows.
You know who else was in this too? I think this was Delta Burke was in one of the
Yeah,
seasons too, because they always had a woman
yeah,
that
yeah.
was like a managing these off-wall players, and they would rotate that woman out all the time. So we actually got, hey, there's a Elizabeth Berkley. Yeah, yeah, Delta Burke. She's on the cover of this thing. Like, so yeah, man. Yeah, it's wild, man. It's goofy. It's slapstick and just, kind of sophomore humor, but it can be fun, man. I remember when I first got it, I went through this whole thing and that was cracking me up. Like it's just
Yeah, all I saw was that ON. I thought you had a Voltron box set.
yeah. They had a couple of storylines that was interesting. I remember Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds
Yeah, yeah.
beat up this dad who was um abusing his kid, who was beating his kid up. So I was like, oh, they try to have like a little, afternoon special type episodes, but yeah, man,
But the
that
rest of
shit
it was
was
just
wild.
sex and drugs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But we out of here, folks, man. I'm gonna wrap this thing up. But I might have to holler at you later, Corny, though. I gotta run and do some shit before this store closed down the street.
Okay. I will
But
go at some point. I want to have a private discussion with you about some of the stuff that's in this field. Because
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'll hit you up, man. I'll hit you up later, man. I'm
Okay.
be up for a bit. All right, holla. Peace.
Later.